Hello everyone, coming at you today with an unedited video. I know it's been a while. And today I'm going to be talking about the answer to some questions that I get frequently here on this channel as well. And those questions relate to how to know which issues, which emotional issues you should be working on to get better from your chronic dizziness, and whether you need to resolve all of those issues or resolve past traumas in order to get better. So to answer this question, I want to share first with you something that happened to me today. So earlier today, I released one of my edited videos on benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, or BPPV, which is a very elementary topic in vestibular rehabilitation. It's one of the first things I learned in the topic of vestibular science when I was a graduate student. It's something I've encountered in my clinical practice over many, many years. I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of patients with BPPV. It's really kind of one of the most fundamental things. And in this video, I totally misspoke one of the details. I made a mistake. And this mistake was graciously pointed out to me by one of my viewers, Philippe. Thank you, Philippe, for pointing this out. And I immediately took the video down. I want to make sure my channel has accurate information on it, so I'm going to redo the video. But do you think that was the end of it for me? Oh no. And if you have chronic dizziness or chronic pain, I know that you know exactly what happens next. Major shame spiral. There was the, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna know that I'm wrong or that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? There was this imposter syndrome moment. And there was this, oh, I can't believe I made that kind of mistake. Like, how stupid, like what's wrong with me? How could I make a mistake that simple? So I went through this process for a few moments, and it made me think of some of the things that I'm constantly talking about with my one-on-one clients in helping them figure out what issues they really need to deal with in order to get better from chronic dizziness. So do you think, kind of hearing my little story here, thank you if you're wondering, I'm feeling better now, but I had a moment, for a few moments there. Do you think that was the first time I've ever had that kind of conflict with my internal critic? Oh, hell no, it was not the first time. This critic's been around for a long time. We have a sordid, long history, and its origins are certainly not from this particular YouTube video. This pattern started a whole long time ago. So that kind of leads me to the point I wanted to make here in this video and to answer this question that I posed to you at the beginning. So what you're looking for when you're trying to resolve your chronic dizziness issues is not the seminal issue. And I have many people ask me this question, and I'm going to say this with all the love of one perfectionist to another here, that people ask me questions like, but how do I know that I'm working on the right issue? What if I'm working on an issue that bothers me, but it's not the one that caused me to get dizzy? Or I'll have people ask me, but how do I know that I've actually resolved it? What if I'm working on this issue, but it's not actually resolved, and then I don't get better? So what you're looking for, if you have reached the conclusion that you have neural circuit dizziness, what you're looking for are patterns. So you're not looking for a specific, oh my gosh, this one moment changed everything and made me dizzy. You're looking for the kinds of patterns that have led to this nervous system state in which your brain is more likely to interpret less dangerous things as threatening things. So in my example, if you have an inner critic, let's say that inner critic was slowly radicalized over many years. So critics don't start off extreme. Critics start off maybe with, a very simple intention to try to kind of whip us into shape when we're children. Like, oh, I want to make sure that I do a good job, right? But through our experiences over the years, these patterns that we have become more extreme, more radicalized, because in some cases of trauma, and because in some cases we just have many chains of experiences that lead this critic, this critical pattern or part of us, to feel that it needs to be very critical of us in order to make us successful or happy or to prevent us from experiencing pain. And when this happens, it starts to affect many aspects of our lives. So in my case, an inner critic could affect my professional life. It could affect my relationship with my kids, with my husband, with my friends. It could affect just generally how I approach any kind of leisure activity in my life. So having a single pattern like this can have far-reaching effects in many areas of our lives. So what you're looking for when you're recovering from chronic dizziness is, what are your patterns? And we can talk a little more on my thoughts on the best way to deal with these kinds of patterns in a future video if you guys are interested. So just comment below and let me know if that's of interest to you. But there are many different ways to approach this. The most important thing to know, though, is A, we need to realize that they're there and that can be a contributor to this nervous system hypervigilance. In other words, this internal pressure that we have inside that creates this threat response in the brain that leads to dizziness. And B, we need to realize that if we're going to recover, that pattern needs to change. So it's not about resolving a specific issue in your life most of the time. Although, of course, some of you are in situations that need to change. And I have clients who were in a relationship that was problematic or were in a job that was really, truly the problem. And in those cases, when they resolved those issues, they got better. But for most of you, it's not about a single event or single aspect of your life that needs to change. It's about how your nervous system is approaching that any situation, how your nervous system's approach to all the situations in your life is increasing that threat response. So when you're thinking about which issues are bothering you, it is a great idea to start journaling and trying to find kind of these significant points in your life that can be a cause of despair or pain or hopelessness or powerlessness. But what you're really looking for is the patterns that emerged from those situations and are affecting you now. And then your job is to try to figure out how you can change some of those patterns. And luckily for you, I would say about 80 to 90% of that process is just realizing that it's there, because that gives you just enough space to make different choices when those patterns, those automatic patterns, start to kick in your daily life. And again, I've got lots of advice on how to do that, but I hope that this helped answer that question and also reassures you that if you're working on these things, on trying to figure out these patterns and past issues that have led to these patterns, you are on the right track. There is no single event or trauma in most cases that has led to your chronic dizziness. It's a series of patterns that you now have the opportunity to look at and correct. All right. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Comment any questions below, like, share, subscribe, the usual, and I will see you guys soon. And aside, thank you for allowing me to be vulnerable with you and share my mistakes with you, because this is how I've changed my patterns, by speaking to them rather than holding them inside. So you guys are awesome. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.